Hello and welcome to my art podcast. My name is Leanne. I'm the host of my podcast. Obviously, I hope. And this is the first one of how many I do not know. I don't really have a script. I don't really have a name for the podcast yet. What I do have right now is some me time. I'm alone at home right now, so I'm able to record, and I wanted to do that because I have been thinking about this art podcast and I want to just start. Now, what I can tell you about the podcast is my initial thought was, well, let me back up. Okay. So I started a YouTube channel for my artwork. Well, actually, I started it for just random stuff. And then in November of 2022, I posted an art vlog and I decided I was going to make art videos. And I have been doing that more or less since November. And some of my videos are vlogs, but then I also do sort of short essay type videos where I share my deep thoughts on art and whatnot. And I know not everybody watches YouTube videos, but a lot of people listen to podcasts. And so I thought, why not also share that content via a podcast? And so that's what I'm doing. My thinking is I'm going to have a number of episodes that will come out at its launch. After that, I might try to do one a week for a little while. And then honestly, it might just be an every now and then podcast because I don't have a huge library of content built up, and I'm really not making the time right now to do this full time. I have to do other things to make money at the moment. Maybe that could change. I don't know. Maybe you could help that change. But no, I don't want to make this like, this is not a sales thing. I'm just saying, who knows what could happen. Like I said, no script today, so I might be all over the place. Who am I? I'm Leanne. Actually, a big part of my creative identity for a number of years before I started my art videos in November, I've been a craft blogger. I have a website called mothandrustdiy.com. I make things, I sew things, I sell patterns, etc. So as you might imagine, I'm not a big art YouTuber. I am actually, I have 3,000 subscribers, which was due to one video blowing up, which is still insane to me. But I'm not a famous artist. I have no formal art education. I'm just a person who wants to share their thoughts and talk about art and probably other things on this podcast. I don't know. We don't know where this is going. We'll see. Like I said, I want to share my thoughts. I probably wouldn't consider myself a real authority on art. I don't have a formal art education or anything like that. I just enjoy creating. I also enjoy, if at all possible, helping to inspire others. I feel like something I believe others should do is share what they're excited about, share what they know. So I thought I would take my own advice and go ahead with the podcast. Even though I'm not perhaps an expert, I feel there are things that we may take for granted in our lives. We may think are very common knowledge. They might not seem like a big deal. They might seem really obvious to us or unremarkable. But people are so different and they come from so many different places in life. These things that might seem obvious to us might be a real revelation to someone else. And we never know what piece of knowledge or experience might be impactful for someone. So that's, again, why I think if you enjoy something, if you're excited about it, it's good to share it with others because you really don't know how it could help them. And also, I feel it's good for the person sharing it. It can help reinforce what they know, solidify something in your own mind. And you also might learn something new when you're in the process of creating or sharing or whatever. So that's why I'm doing this. So a little more about me. Like I said, I'm a crafter. I started out as a visual artist when I was young, as I think all of us do. I guess in my 20s, I kind of drifted away from that. And I started probably 10 years ago dabbling a bit in art, but then I would quit. And I hope now to try to stick with it. And that's another reason I'm making videos and I guess now a podcast, because in a way it helps me be accountable. It doesn't work 100% all of the time, but it's better than I think if I had not been making videos. So I draw, I paint with, I've been experimenting with watercolors and gouache. And like I said, when I started 10 years ago dabbling in art again, I was doing mostly acrylic paintings. I'd like to start using acrylics again. I just haven't yet. I'm doing a lot of stuff in my sketchbook. I'm not so much creating finished works of art, or what you would maybe think of as a finished work of art. I'm really just trying to relearn everything, or maybe I didn't know all that much to begin with. I think when I was younger, I thought I was a lot better than I was. And I mean, that's probably pretty common. I don't know. But anyway, in the wisdom that comes with age, I think I'm a little more open to failing and not being good, and just admitting that I'm not great. I'm not putting myself down. I don't think this is unhealthy, but I'm not a master of any kind. I'm learning and enjoying the process for now. Topics you may expect to hear include, but are not limited to, my art essays, like I said, which are usually just a few minutes long, and I share my thoughts on art and creating. I will probably share some of my favorite artists. I might share some recommendations for materials or tools or books or other things. I might talk a little bit about content creation for artists. I don't know. I'm not an expert myself in that, but if I have any insights, I would share them for other artists who may want to grow online. I might talk about my personal projects that are going on. As of right now, I really don't have anything I can share other than this podcast, and maybe more. Also, like I said, it's very likely that I'm going to be inconsistent with this podcast. If you know anything about, again, content creation, posting online, you know that consistency is considered a best practice. But here's the thing, that's just too bad. I mean, I want to provide, I'd love to create an episode whenever I have something to share, but I'm not forcing myself to publish episodes if I don't have anything, because I'm not necessarily, my main goal in this is not to grow the podcast. I mean, sure, I'd like people to hear it, but it's just going to have to take care of itself for a while, unless I change my mind and I'm really inspired and I really get into it, and then maybe every other week, who knows. So now for our very first episode, I'd like to share the essay that caused the one that blew up on my channel. I wouldn't say it went viral. I don't think it has enough views to be considered viral, but it really got seen by a lot of people. And again, I'm really grateful for that. It's really crazy. And now I'd like to share it with you, in case you're somebody who doesn't go and watch YouTube that much. You can enjoy listening. The title of the video is "Your Sketchbook Should Be Messy, Not Aesthetic, a message to anyone paralyzed by perfectionism." And while most of the comments were really amazing and supportive, and this video seemed to help a lot of people, there were a few who weren't happy with my message. So I just want to preface this by saying I'm not saying you have to make a messy sketchbook. I'm just saying, I'll just let you listen to the essay, and then maybe we'll chat a little bit at the end. Today, I want to talk about the practice of keeping a sketchbook, because it seems like there has been a huge paradigm shift when it comes to sketchbooks. as an elder millennial, I did not grow up with social media. And I want to note right now that this is not a video about the evils of social media, nor is it a back in my day type of discussion. But just for context, when I was in high school, I took art classes. I had a few friends who were artists, and I kept a sketchbook. And again, no social media. And at that time, and I think most of the people I knew had an understanding that a sketchbook was a very private, or at least somewhat private, place for coming up with ideas. In fact, I looked up the definition of sketch, and it said a rough or unfinished drawing or painting often made to assist in making a more finished picture. So by definition, sketchbooks have always been a place where you could scribble, make messy drawings, practice, and screw up again and again. The whole point for me anyway was to figure things out, or sometimes maybe not even to do that. Sometimes the action and repetition of making marks on the paper could be enough. There was rarely any pressure in working in a sketchbook, and for me, very rarely anything close to a finished drawing. And it never mattered what it looked like because nobody else had to see it. Obviously, you could show someone if you chose to, but it's not like there was some platform you could log into and show the whole world your work. So for most of my life, it never occurred to me until quite recently that this is not how a lot of younger artists see a sketchbook. Once I started getting back into art more, I started paying more attention to the online art community because what an incredible thing to be able to see what artists all around the world are doing. I love that there are so many talented artists with such unique styles and ideas, and that you can just access all of this with a few taps. But one of the more distressing byproducts of this, I think, is how a lot of people are approaching the idea of a sketchbook these days. Don't get me wrong, there is nothing wrong with creating an amazing spread or finished art piece and showing it off from your sketchbook, truly. I don't think that's a problem. But I do think there's a problem when people think this is what you have to do. It always has to be finished, beautiful, perfect, or at least aesthetic. I have heard people say that they were afraid to make art that's less than perfect, so they just didn't make it at all. And while I know that's a feeling that's existed probably long before social media, I do think it has been exacerbated in recent times. I can't help but feel, as an artist, I've had a huge advantage in not growing up with social media. Even though I am clearly somebody who's posting art online, I feel I am definitely less susceptible to the pressure that a lot of younger artists may feel. And recently, I have heard several artists who decided they were going to start keeping an ugly or messy sketchbook. And to that, I just want to give my wholehearted endorsement and say, oh my gosh, yes, please do. Of course, you can do a few finished pieces in your sketchbook or dedicate an entire sketchbook to finished pieces. You can do anything you want with your sketchbook. I mean, that's the whole point. The only thing upon which I will insist is that you keep a sketchbook that is entirely your own personal place to practice and scribble and fumble and create less than perfect art in. If that means adding another sketchbook, that's okay. And of course, you can show people later if you choose, but go in with the idea that it is your own private, personal, safe space. Fill it with rough sketches and incomplete ideas. It is so important that you have at least one place that is all your own with no pressure and no fear of criticism. Not only is it incredibly freeing, but I believe it's entirely necessary to have this type of outlet as an artist. It is truly magical when you think about it to have a book in which you can draw or write anything that you dream up. And to get better, and I think more importantly, to enjoy the artistic process more, you need to have a messy sketchbook. So, like I said, a few people seemed to be kind of upset in the comments. They thought I was trying to tell them how they should do art. And granted, I know the title is Your Sketchbook Should Be Messy. That's kind of I don't want to say clickbait, but I think probably most people listening will understand what I was trying to say. If messy doesn't work for you as an artist, absolutely don't do it. But again, this was for people who feel way too much pressure to be perfect or so-called perfect in their work, because it seems to be a thing that I notice so much, and I hate for anybody to think they can't create because they're not perfect right now. Some folks seem to think that I was saying that we're not allowed to create aesthetic looking sketchbooks, which again is not the case. Some people thought that because I said you should allow yourself to make mistakes, I was saying you should not try, which is not what I was saying at all. If you absolutely cannot or do not want to have a messy sketchbook, that's fine. I just want everybody to understand that it's okay to do things that are, again, not perfect or not what you think is perfect. So that was the purpose of the video and my sharing my thoughts on that. And if you disagree, if you work better doing something else, then by all means, please continue doing that. If you would like to watch my art videos, you can find me on YouTube where I am Leanne Deluxe. The channel is called Leanne's Art Lab, but the URL is youtube.com/@ symbol Leanne Deluxe, LeanneDelux. My Instagram handle is also Leanne Deluxe. If you listen to this podcast and you enjoyed it, please send me a message and let me know. I would love to see what type of work you're doing as well. So please reach out to me there. Or if you really don't want to send me a message, that's okay. If you enjoyed the show all the same, you can also leave a review. I feel like there's been a whole lot of jabbering going on in this episode. And so I'm going to end it now, but be on the lookout for other episodes. And again, I likely uploaded several the day that I uploaded this one, so check those out as well. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you're well, and I hope to speak with you again soon.